Well, hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about business locations. And this is part of Area of Study 3, the internal environment. Well, the most important thing for any business is where it's actually located. So for most businesses, if they can choose a great location, chances of success are going to be a lot higher. You can actually run a really good business, but if it's in the wrong location, you can't move it, so it's always going to be a bit of a risk. Well, some businesses are suited to different locations and some are suited to other ones. You can't just go and set up a business wherever you'd like it to. So the local government actually has what we call zones, and they tell people where they can set up a business. So most of us live in what are known as residential zones. Most businesses would be in what are known as commercial zones, and there's also industrial zones as well, and we're basically trying to keep all three zones separate. Now, the most obvious business location is a suburban shopping centre. So we think about Chadstone, Northland, Doncaster, and Eastland, and those sort of places. A lot of shops all in the one place, and the huge advantage, of course, is the car parks. And most of those car parks, of course, will encourage people to come and attend those shopping centres. Of course, if you're going to move into a shopping centre, the price of a business in a shopping centre tends to be quite high. So the shopping centres will charge fairly expensive rent because they know they're going to be attracting a lot of customers to those particular areas and those shops. So if you've got a good business, it's a good one to get into. There's also a lot of competition there as well. Just a couple of shots here of Chadstone in the olden days. It's about 50 or 60 years ago. Chadstone actually opened in 1960, so it's 60 years old this year. And just some of the pictures there. Myer used to be the number one tenant for Chadstone, and of course, unfortunately, Myer at the moment, while still existing, is not doing terribly well. Some fantastic architecture at the shopping centres as well. And next time you go, it's worth having a look around to see the way that the architects have tried to encourage people to stay in these shopping centres, to spend some time there. To make it interesting to walk around with light shining through Perspex roof and stuff like that, different levels, different curves, very interesting places to go to. When seen from above, Chadstone is a really impressive looking shopping centre. It has got massive since 1960. There is a new tower there on the right hand side you guys can see on the picture. It's a new hotel there, and it's designed to get overseas visitors to come stay at the hotel, and of course whilst they're staying there, go and visit Chadstone and do some shopping as well. Just a couple of other shots of Chadstone Shopping Centre. Some of you might be familiar with these pictures. Chadstone Corner is where people who live in the area would often go and do some shopping on the way home. So it's fruit, vegetables, and that kind of stuff, a bit more of a local type of environment rather than the large fashion stores that you'd see in the rest of Chadstone. So here's a picture most of you would recognise straight away, and that's of course Glenferrie Road. A strip shopping centre like Glenferrie Road, there's still quite a few around in Melbourne, and they can be very successful as well. And I'm sure most of you girls and guys would agree that on an afternoon, a Friday afternoon, walking down Glenferrie Road, plenty of shops doing quite well. Of course, one of the problems with strip shopping centres is the lack of parking. So unfortunately for many people, they can't actually get a nice convenient car park. It is good for people who are walking past, so there's high visibility for passing traffic. Lygon Street, we should mention, really good example of a lot of restaurants, particularly Italian restaurants in Lygon Street, encouraging people to come to that area. Here's a rare shot of Lygon Street with no one there, but normally that would be quite a busy place, people eating pasta and drinking wine. And of course South Bank in Melbourne, where a lot of people would love to go and have dinner, maybe a more special occasion overlooking the city. Not every business is actually in a physical place. So Progressive is a good example of a business which is actually an online business. As an insurance company, they have no offices. They actually have totally online, so their presence is not a physical building. The same with eBay, of course. It saves them a lot of money because they don't have to actually pay for rent and electricity and gas and all that other stuff. Now, most businesses that are online will try and make sure that if people search for them, their name will come up first. So they actually have search engine optimization tools. And the way that works is that basically Google will charge money for people to make sure that their business goes at the top of those search lists. Because research shows most people actually go to the very top list when they do a search. So for many businesses, it's important to be at the top. Obviously, Afterpay and PayPal are ways that people can actually get those transactions occurring over the internet. Some businesses can actually rerun from home, so the actual location of the business is a home. So normally, plumbers, electricians, painters, and so on, those sort of tradespeople can actually operate their business from home because most of the time they will actually go to their customer's home to do the business and do their work, so they don't actually need to have a physical office set up anywhere else. Of course, with the use of mobile phones, the internet, and different applications, it's a lot easier to actually do that now than it's ever been before. Always like some good business names. These are a few of my favourites. Indiana Bones and the Temple of Groom, a fantastic name for a dog daycare boutique. Tequila Mockingbird, excellent name. But Back to the Fuchsia, when it comes to florist, a very good name as well. But different businesses will have different types of location needs, and that's what we need to actually have a look at this afternoon. Today. Now, as most businesses would need to be very visible, so when people walk past, they can see the business. And getting in a good location with good visibility tends to be quite important. But some businesses, like manufacturing ones, don't necessarily need to be very visible. They can actually be quite some way from where their customers would be. Just like anything in location, if you want a good location for a house, it's generally going to cost a lot of money. And the same with a business. The best business locations tend to be quite expensive. So many businesses need to work out, is it worth paying for a very expensive location but a good one, or paying less for a not so good location and saving some money? It's always going to be a difficult choice that a business owner would need to make. Most businesses would probably want to be relatively close to their suppliers and their customers. Obviously, it makes it easier for both the customer and the supplier to be in close proximity. Doesn't always work that way. So most businesses will have some kind of transportation between their supplier and their business. But normally speaking, businesses don't probably have to worry too much about being as close to their suppliers as they would like to be. Manufacturing businesses are really good examples of that. They don't need to be necessarily anywhere near their customers. They tend to need a lot of space, so they're located in outer suburbs. And as a result of that, they don't necessarily have to worry about expensive land. They can normally get a lot of land on Melbourne's fringe, and they don't necessarily need to be right next to their customers. Most businesses would probably want to be separate from their competitors. Generally speaking, if there's no one else, then you're, the number one business in that space. However, for many businesses like McDonald's, for example, whenever they set up, they tend to attract a lot of other relatively similar businesses as well. So competition is good for us as consumers, but in terms of business location, it can sometimes present some challenges. We need to mention complementary businesses as well. These are businesses that go well with other businesses. So a florist always goes well in like a maternity hospital, and a chemist or a pharmacy tends to go well next to a medical clinic or a GP's offices, because what they do, of course, is people walk out, get a prescription, and can get it filled straight away. So maybe you can think of some other complementary businesses that tend to go well together. So we've got a couple of questions here for you guys to look at. These are just basic ones that can go back over the slides and see what we've been talking about. And the final question here is just to look at how each of the factors listed can influence the location of either a retail business and then a manufacturing business. Good luck with that, guys. I'll speak to you soon.